Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
The Word Docs would like to pay our respects to the Kaurna people on whose lands we are today, and to pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. And we would like to recognise that this is country of powerful storytelling and knowledges, and that we're honoured to be here today.
Why don't you write when you don't need money, honey? That would certainly make a hit.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Word Docs. We're back for a brand new season of fun and frivolity and brilliance and bravery and wit and wisdom and other pairs of alliterative words.
We're aspiring, sure.
We're aspiring. We're aspirant. No, that means breathing.
That means breathing.
I'm Dr. Sean Williams. Welcome, beautiful colleagues, Dr. Amy T. Matthews.
Hello.
And Dr. Alex Vickery Howe.
Hello.
Hello. We've had a little bit of a break from podcasting. We're back in the studio. We're back in the ambisonic studio, which is now working, so we might get kicked out of that beautiful space.
I am looking at so many speakers right now, hanging from all different angles.
One day we're going to do an ambisonic mix of Word Docs.
That would be cool.
All of us will be talking out of a different speaker at once. It sounds nightmarish.
She does sound quite scary.
And we thought today we'd start with a reasonably light-hearted topic. We've talked about writing advice several times, and we've talked about lists of rules. In fact, we've even talked about my list of rules, the 10 and a half commandments of writing.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick is the most important one. So easy to forget those.
Talk about aspirational.
That's right. I'm still working on that one. And I grew up with a few lists in mind. And because I come out of the science fiction community, and because literature is so feckin' blokey, just like science fiction, all these lists were by men. So I thought what I'd do is I'd drag up the words of wisdom of these old dead male gasbags.
Awesome.
And see whether they work for you, whether there are any commonalities between them, and to see if you can guess who wrote which piece of advice.
Oh, no.
Yeah, some of it, I'll make sure it's super easy. So,
because I'm not sure I can get them.
so they all come from different genres, pretty much. So one's Kurt Vonnegut, familiar as the writer of sort of, what would you call Kurt Vonnegut's writing? Weird American literature.
Yeah.
Sort of funny, non-linear.
Yeah.
Literary, kind of postmodern.
Yeah. Another one is Robert Heinlein, one of the sort of the science fictional greats.
One of the greats.
Elmore Leonard.
Yeah, so that's noir, like
I have
crime.
a friend who's obsessed with Elmore Leonard.
Really? He's dead, though. He dug up his body and made a necklace out of his finger bones or something.
Is
Not
that how
kind of
far
obsessed.
you have to go to be obsessed?
If you're going to be a proper fan, that's what you're going to do. And a proper fan wouldn't even wait till they did. And the last one, the fourth, is C.S. Lewis, famous C.S. Lewis. So some of this advice is good. Some of it's a little bit odd. And let's see if you can guess who wrote which. So let's start with you must write.
That seems pretty basic, and yes, I agree with that one.
Yes, well, that's one I think we can all agree on. Alex, do you think we should write?
I think we can agree on that. Although there are people that love to talk about writing. Don't like writing.
I've had a bit of it lately, actually, people wanting to talk about their book, and it's just like, don't talk about it, just go write it.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, that's my style. I don't like talking about it too much.
I like to write it and not show anyone.
Is that what showing, not telling? No, telling, not showing is. I like talking about writing, and I also like writing. So I think.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about the process, but I find there's a lot of people, we've said this before, who want to talk about their plot or their book, and then complain at you or want the secret for how to write it. And it's like, just sit down and write it.
Write it, that's right. World building. Let me tell you about my world building. Here, I've got some PowerPoint. I have done that. So I'm mocking from a place of love. Who do you think wrote that really business-like piece of advice?
That could have been any of them, really, couldn't it?
Well, I would have said it probably wasn't Vonnegut because it hasn't got a weird little cruel twist to it, like his writing has. And
I feel like C.S. Lewis could say something like that.
I wonder if it wasn't him.
Elmore Leonard, come on, no?
You think it's Elmore Leonard?
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was Robert Heinlein.
See, none of us got
So
it.
that was a zero.
I thought
strike
Heinlein
rate.
was a bit more verbose than that.
He certainly can be. These are his 5 rules to make money from writing, if that helps.
Well, yes, you have to write quite a bit to make money from writing.
His second rule, it was you must finish what you start.
Yeah,
which is
that's a good rule because that.
Because if you don't finish it, how are you going to sell it? In fact, our recent writer-in-resident, Garth Nix, was very big on that you shouldn't even put your book out into the market until you finish it. I think that was his line, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, let's try another one. Use the time of a total stranger in such a way that he or she would not feel the time was wasted.
Oh,
That's nice.
That's nice. So, friend of mine here at Flinders, Peter Beaglehole, shout out to Peter.
Hi, Peter. He's been on the show before, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. He often says, you are asking people for time and be aware of that and honour that.
Money sometimes too.
Yeah, that's more Heinlein-y. I could have maybe picked him from that one.
Really?
There's a few more words in it.
That's right. It wasn't Heinlein.
No.
What? I thought you said you were reading his 5.
I know. I'd read the second one.
Segued.
I segued. Yes, I segued cruelly
So who was
without
that?
warning. It was Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, right.
It's Kurt Vonnegut. This is a Kurt Vonnegut one, so I'll be a bit clearer from now on.
It's tricky because we're not going to guess any of these.
Oh, you might. There's one you'll guess. He also said, "Be a sadist. No matter how sweet and innocent your leading characters, make awful things happen to them, in order that the reader may see what they are made of."
Yes, I agree with that.
I'm glad that came with a qualifier. If it had just been be a sadist, I would have gone, well, you mean recreationally or professionally?
That too. Yeah, no. With consent.
Sadism with consent. Well, being a writer is masochistic, so, we're already in the arena.
Yes. Right. Okay, here's one for you to guess. Write only about what interests you. They go on to say, write only about what interests you, whether it is real things or imaginary things, nothing else. Notice this means that if you are interested only in writing, you'll never be a writer because you will have nothing to write about.
Well,
that's interesting.
Yes.
That could be a Kurt rant, or that could be a C.S. Lewis fantasy
epistle.
Yeah. Is it either of those?
It is either of those.
Oh, I've narrowed it down.
It's C.S. Lewis. Correct. Amy.
Oh,
ding, 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 ding,
I think,
ding, ding,
Alex, you kind of get some credit for narrowing it down to 50-50.
No credit for Alex.
Can I say, I think what strikes me about that one is that I think writers are usually fans of some kind.
Yes.
Like they're intensely into some kind of literature or film or narrative. So yes, I think probably that's true.
So the alternative to that is writing something that doesn't interest you.
Which people do because they think they're trying to, write to a market or they're trying to game the system somehow.
Like the Alex Vickery How cookbook.
But
buy some chips and marinate them with cheese and juice.
Toffee, add toffee.
Add toffee.
I have to say though, I think people do that with things like romance where they're like,
I can make money here.
Yeah, I can make money here. I can do this. Any idiot can do this. And you can pick it a mile off.
Same with chasing trends. I think so Harry Potter's big. Let's write a Harry Potter novel.
Just do exactly that, yeah. But wouldn't you run out of steam?
Oh, it'd be horrible. Imagine if it was a success and then you had to write kind of books that you weren't interested in forever. Ugh. Here's another one. See if you can guess who wrote this. Keep your exclamation points under control. You are allowed no more than 2 or 3 per 100,000 words of prose.
Oh.
Is that Elmore Leonard?
It is correct. Now, if it had been semicolons, you would have known exactly who wrote that. Elmore Leonard, well done, Amy. While you're on a roll, let's see if you can guess this. There are 2 and they're connected by the same person. Never use a verb other than said to carry dialogue, and never use an adverb to modify the verb said, he admonished gravely.
Is that Leonard again?
Leonard again.
Because he has a list. Was it in The Guardian? Is this from The Guardian list? He has a list that was amazing.
Yeah, this is his amazing list. If you know that list, you'll know exactly which ones are his. How about another one? I've got pages and pages of them, you'll be pleased to know. So this is a good one, and this author says it in the same thing over and over again because they think it's so important. Work hard at being clear. They also say avoid ambiguity and use language to make your meaning clear and make sure it can't mean anything else, and know the meaning of all the words you use. So all very important when it comes to working hard at being clear, which I think is good advice.
Alex, you have a pick. Who was that one?
I have no idea who that is. Well, it sounds like Elmore Leonard again, but it's probably not because you're mixing it up.
The best thing is that I told you one of them earlier and I told you who it was. So I love the fact that Alex is complete. I was thinking this is a gimme for Alex because he already knows. Poor Alex.
Remember how vague but I got distracted because I was thinking, I always think I'm being clear and I'm never being clear.
I think they were text messages. I think I'm being clear. And then I reread them. I'm like, oh, that could have meant 3 or 4 different things.
Thank goodness for edit function on texts now, because then you can edit them because I hit send and read it and I haven't seen all the mistakes that were there a split second ago.
Although our postgrads were telling me that they kind of think I'm ridiculous, that all my messages are perfectly spelt with the perfect grammar. And they're like, that's not how a message works.
I've learned not to put full stops at the end of text.
It's interpreted as...
I can't help it.
Yeah, I do it. I think I do it too, but it's interpreted as too formal or a bit aggressive.
That's right. Aggressive, yeah.
That's weird, isn't it?
I'm just going to put it in all caps and be an old person.
Buy some milk.
And do LOL for lots of love, so it's really inappropriately,
yeah.
Oh my God, does anyone even say LOL or ROFL anymore?
I've seen an LOL.
I think
Are they old people though?
I still do that, but I love it when people
Alex.
do lots of love. It's like, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Lol.
Like that's not good. I still do it. I'm an old man.
I'm okay with getting old though.
Yeah, me too. Okay, how about this one? This is a very important one. Don't feel obligated to bring explicitly Christian bits to your writing.
Well, that's got to be C.S. Lewis, doesn't it?
We were talking about that one.
Honestly.
It's something we all struggle with, Amy.
I am not pressured into that one.
Do you not struggle? I feel an intense struggle not to bring in the word.
Do you feel a struggle not to mention Buddhism?
Yeah, I feel that.
Atheism, Stoicism.
Yeah.
Every day. That is so...
Nihilism. Do we have to mention Nietzsche as well?
We were saying that such... that's the equivalent of me saying don't eat too much toffee. Like that's a rule to oneself.
Yeah.
Now you're offending the religious people.
Well, we've done that before. They're gone anyway,
it's just
Amy.
like toffee.
Just like toffee.
They're all supposed to taste different. They all taste the same.
So this piece of advice here, which I'll give you a clue is not C.S. Lewis, is pretty good advice for a podcast too. And I feel that we may
need
Don't
lots of
invite
advice.
Alex.
Give the reader at least one character he or she can root for.
Oh, it's clearly me.
It's true. So otherwise, it's just Blokey Gasbags yet again.
But I'm watching Succession. There's no one I can root for on that.
That's what's lovely about it, though.
And we were talking about Veep as well. Are you rooting for anyone on Veep? Probably not. Some more than others, maybe. But so that I always think. I sometimes think that's an older rule that may have fallen down. It depends on your genre, of course. It depends on all sorts of things.
It totally depends on your genre.
But I don't think it should be one of those things that people demand.
But this is, don't you have a line about this in your rule, Sean? If not, it's something I've heard you say, that, they're just guides. You don't stick to them religiously.
That's right. And I think there's a lot of heavy lifting being done by the verb root here. Because you can root for a villain.
That's true.
You can cheer for a villain.
That's true.
Yeah.
And you can also cheer for somebody to fail. That can still be really entertaining to watch. And I think
that's
part of the success of Veep, because it is a comedy, and it's a bit like It's Always Sunny too. I mean, nobody knows It's Sunny is nice.
Seinfeld.
They're all awful people.
Yeah.
Oh. And you can also root for that moment of epiphany when somebody might become a good person. Obviously, that's never going to happen in Succession or Veep or It's Always Sunny. But who wrote that, do you think?
Can you say it again?
Give the reader at least one character he or she can root for.
Who were there only 3 authors? I've only got 3 in my head. Who's the fourth?
Vonnegut, Heinlein, Leonard and Lewis. all dead Blokey Gasbags.
Oh, that's hard. Alex.
Robert.
Alex didn't write it.
Alex didn't write it.
Bob.
I'm doing Bob because we haven't had a Bob for a while.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm just. It's not Bob.
No, it was Kurt.
Bob's not getting.
That surprises me, actually.
Okay, here's another one. Yeah, it's a bit surprising.
I'm thinking of Macbeth. You even root for Mick because he's such a monster, but you sort of think, sorry, that's bad luck besides anything else.
Oh no.
Yeah. We might all blow up now.
Dun dun dun. Where's the sound effect? Oh no,
You won't press the right one.
I'll push the wrong one. I'll just push one at random and we'll see what it is.
Macbeth.
Nothing happened. There you
Nothing
go.
happened.
It's broken.
I think you haven't turned it up. I think you need to turn the volume up.
Okay, so one of these writers
was the
said
bad luck.
that was the bad luck.
There you go.
If it sounds like writing, I rewrite it.
Ah.
I like that.
It's an interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of heavy lifting done in a really simple statement there too, but it's really powerful. If it sounds like writing, I rewrite it. If it sounds like speaking, I re-say it.
Is that?
No, that doesn't work.
I feel like, I don't feel like it's C.S.
speaking,
Lewis. I don't feel like it's C.S. Lewis. I'm leaning towards like Vonnegut or
Leonard.
It's Leonard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are exceptions to that. Sometimes you read a book. Depends on the
Gail
book.
Jones. I feel like Gail Jones is so writerly, and that's the point of it. Like there are books I remember reading. I've forgotten the name of it. The one about the photographer. Anyway, I remember 60
amazing
Lights.
book, 60 Lights. Oh, what an extraordinary
I remember
novel.
getting to the end of every sentence and thinking that is the most perfect sentence I've ever read. And I couldn't really remember the plot or the characters. It was just the sentences. I just thought the writing was amazing. So she's probably the exception to the rule that proves the rule.
Well, there are other. Well, it depends what you go into in a book. So if you read a Brian Castro book, you're not reading it for plot or characters. You're reading it for the beautiful writing and the crypto literary kind of concept behind it.
And the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
That you're doing a kind of active reading where you are just, it's like doing a crossword.
Yeah, and that's all completely fine. But Sarah Waters she writes perfect sentences, but it doesn't feel like writing.
Yeah, yeah.
It just
Invisible.
feels like,
It's like invisible cinema.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you stop and look at a sentence, it's perfect. It's beautiful and stunning. It's designed to still be. Yeah, it's a good.
Ian McEwan I'd put in that category as
yeah.
well. I think he's got beautiful writing, but it's also so kind of taut and it's not kind of drawing attention to itself in the same way.
And what is the difference then? What's the distinction? One is perfect sentences to be hidden, and the other is kind of consciously drawing attention to its own beauty.
Well, here's another quote from one of these
aesthetic
four
object,
dead
Alex,
gas
yeah.
bags. And it might be speaking to something that you're articulating here. Always write and read with your ear, not your eye.
Ah.
Yeah.
So it's the difference between seeing Sean cross the quadrangle and think this is a stylish man versus someone in like peacock feathers when you go, oh, they're just trying to draw attention to their own aesthetic.
Are you saying I can't look stylish in peacock feathers?
I think you look amazing. All that's leaping to mind is the mighty Boosh and the alien guy. Yeah, so that's about, there's often a rule in creative writing about reading your work aloud. And that's, you're probably right. There's something about it being visual rather than auditory that would be drawing attention to itself a bit.
There's something also about style and voice and writerliness as well.
Yeah.
So there's a Australian writer called Terry Dowling. Didn't just say, read your work aloud. He said that he would write his text as though it was to be sung.
Wow.
So a very different sort of self-conscious kind of writerly style there.
Yeah, because I think there is the writerly versus the readerly, and they're two incredibly different things. And that's where two of the kind of suggestions you've read out today contradict each other. Because that one of them is like, don't make the reader feel like they've wasted their time and money. And then another one is really like that writerly process is really focused on the aesthetic object and the artist and their creation, which is a completely different thing from being focused on the reader.
Yes.
Does
That's
it
a really good
vary
point.
for either of you because you've both written a number of novels? Does it vary from book to book?
Yeah, it depends on the genre and the audience and what you're doing with it, I think. Because I think you'd agree, Sean, some that are very personal books that are for you, that you're doing Or short stories. I think my short stories tend to be more experimental and more writerly, and that's where I'm kind of feeding a certain part of my artistic self, whereas obviously commercial fiction is very readerly and very much focused on the reader.
And I'm trying to write a kid's book at the moment that has second person and future tense in it, so I don't know what I'm doing at the moment. Anyway, here's another piece of advice. Read all the good books you can.
Yep.
Yep.
That could be any of them.
Oh, yeah, that's C.S. Lewis. And that last one was C.S. Lewis too.
Seriously?
Yep.
What? He's not taking his own advice.
I know, that's right. Particularly the stuff about the Christian business. Yeah, good grief. What about this one? Don't throw away writing projects that you put aside.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Because I think a lot of the time they come back again. You end up using it somehow.
But I think it's important to move on to something else.
Well, that's why computers are so handy, right? I mean, you can just file it and go. I have a folder I found the other day that just says play dregs, bits of dialogue that didn't make it.
I've got a folder called random bits of writing.
Play Dregs sounds like the worst child care centre in the world. Come to Play Dregs.
Welcome.
They take all the kids that nobody else can that was C.S. Lewis as well. Choose the concrete noun over the abstract one. So say more people died rather than mortality rose. Is that a different way of saying use active sentences rather than
maybe, yeah.
This has got to be Leonard, right?
It's C.S. Lewis as well.
Oh, it's still C.S. Lewis. Okay.
I don't feel like he takes his own advice ever.
No, that's right. He's terrible.
He's useless.
Who is this guy?
You
this
heard
old
it
hat?
first on Word Docs.
Okay, let's try somebody else. Here's a controversial one. You must refrain from rewriting except to editorial order.
What does that mean?
So unless editor tells you to do something to your work, you shouldn't rewrite it. So
well, Garth wouldn't like that.
What if you've got a terrible editor?
Yeah, that's right.
I love all my editors. I've not had a bad one, I just want to say. But what if you did have one you didn't agree with?
Yeah, I guess you just have to do what they say.
Well, you have to know your own mind, though, and your own vision.
Yeah.
Also, if I'm hearing that correctly, that would imply that even if you believe something, you don't change it.
Is that a rewrite then, or are you still in the right?
Okay, maybe. Okay,
but I'm not sure that's what Bob Heinlein was saying.
Oh, he got in, Bob, yes.
So these are his rules to make money from writing. So I think his idea was you write it, you finish it, you start writing it, you finish writing it, you put it out to the market, and then you don't spend forever writing it.
You just keep going.
Right. Unless an editor says, yes, we'll take it, but you'll have to do this.
Yeah,
Maybe
there's
that's
some
what
wisdom in that. Yeah, that makes more sense through that lens.
I mean, I do find editors are incredibly smart people, and they're 99.9% right, in my experience. I know there are not great editors out there, but that does seem to be offloading responsibility a lot.
It does, doesn't it? That's right.
It's the shark mentality, isn't it? Keep swimming, keep moving forward, don't look back.
Or it's the shark mentality saying, if they're not paying you to work on it, don't work on it.
Yeah, go and eat that seal.
And if you look, to be fair, if you're living on your income as a writer, which we're not doing anymore, Sean used to. Sean used to do it. But, there is an enormous pressure there of because it's like being any kind of freelancer. Like, why would you work on stuff that's not going to pay?
And this guy was Robert Heinlein, who's
ever heard of him?
No, my point was that he came up at a time when you could live off writing short stories.
Yeah,
So it's a different kind of thing.
Yeah,
you could just write another short story and sell it.
Anyway, they used to pay good money back then.
They sure did now. Okay, here's another one. Never open a book with weather.
What? Oh, sorry.
Not the word weather.
That's like throw mama from the train.
Yeah.
The night was.
Sultry. I love that film.
That's so good, that scene. I was doing that the other day. And my partner's, he's gone back into copywriting. And so he was writing an ad and he was just stuck on this one sentence. I'm like, I feel like I'm in Throw Mama from the Train right now.
Everything you
just
need
looking
to know.
for sultry.
Everything you need to know about writing is in that film. I've probably said that here in this podcast and I'll keep saying it.
I completely misunderstood what you said. Never open a book in the weather is what, because it'll get wet.
It will get wet.
I thought you meant
especially
weather.
Kindle.
Yeah, I thought you meant weather the word. Like you can't open with whether or not. Alex was going to save the day. He went out armed with his gun and his Bowie knife. But no, That's not what I meant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one is up there with please don't have a character waking up and having breakfast or waiting for the bus.
Or waking up with amnesia in a white room. Which is a terrible science.
I'm trying to think of a really exciting breakfast scene.
I just started a book yesterday and I won't name it, but it was so irritating because I was just sitting there thinking the whole first chapter should have been cut. Like it was nothing. It was like meeting a couple of new people, eating some food at a diner. Like the action doesn't actually start until chapter 3.
Yes.
Like the first 2 chapters should have just gone because they didn't tell me anything about anyone.
So one of Kurt Vonnegut's rules is start as close to the end as possible, which is great advice. And Leonard Cohen was the one who said never open a book with the weather, which I think is kind of saying a similar thing.
Oh, you've given me an idea for a workshop.
Sitting out in the weather.
No, we've got our postgraduate workshops, and I was just thinking about the number of postgrads we have having plot problems, and that idea about starting as close to the end is like it would actually be a good workshop to get them to say, what is your ending?
Right.
Tell us your ending before you finish the book.
We were saying in one of those workshops that maybe it wasn't there. Who knows? Where have I been lately? But we were somewhere in my life. We were talking about sometimes you've got to write all this stuff and then realize the point you've gotten to. You've got to get rid of all the stuff.
Yeah.
Like you've got to write.
You write your way in.
You write your way in and then go, you know what, all of that's got to go.
And I think when you're starting out, that's such a horrifying thought. Whereas eventually you kind of just get used to that as a process.
That's just going to, keep happening. And it would sort of work to do a whole breakfast scene if something suddenly happened in that breakfast.
If the breakfast is important in some way.
Yeah. Here's a rule. Never use the words suddenly. Like Alex did.
Abruptly.
All hell broke loose. Never use those words.
Oh, no.
That was Elmore Leonard. He was quite firm on that.
Alex will do the opposite of everything and it will still be great.
Oh, that's nice.
That's right.
I've missed you, Amy. I need this affirmation in my life.
So here's one. I think this is a controversial one.
Yeah.
Give your readers as much information as possible as soon as possible. To heck with suspense. Readers should have such complete understanding of what is going on, where and why, that they could finish the story themselves should cockroaches eat the last few pages.
I reckon I know what this one is about because, we've all read millions of undergraduate stories. This one is about the reader can only imagine what you tell them to imagine. Mm-hmm. And if you're too abstract, like there's no picture painted. Mm-hmm. Like I think it has to be like the opening scene of a film. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you need to do all of it personally, but I think you need to be able to see the picture. And I think with our first years last semester, I talked about a Where's Wally picture, that the first scene of a book is like a Where's Wally page, right? And you don't want all that detail because if you put too much in, you can't find Wally. But you also don't want a blank page because then you're just looking at Wally. And then what you're describing there is just looking at Wally. It's like white page with Wally on it. But if they can finish it themselves, like you need a little bit of suspense. So you need enough on the page that you can see that, or what do they call him in America? Waldo. Where's Waldo?
That's right.
That you want to see Waldo's on a beach, right? And then it's maybe sunset and maybe he's lost, I don't know, maybe he's dropped his ice cream cone or something. You want to be able to see some detail, but you don't want to overpopulate the page or underpopulate the page. That's my feeling.
You're making me think of that Simpsons scene where Bart goes, find Waldo yet again. He's just not
Sorry,
trying.
I made my chair squeak again. Sorry.
It's okay. We've got squeaky chairs. I also think this is about withholding. So a lot of particularly science fiction writers and maybe crime writers as well, they want to withhold the key interesting detail.
Absolutely.
So it turns out the love interest was a robot. Well, why not tell us that on page 1 and make the story interesting from the beginning instead of revealing it on page 440 when no one's reached that far?
It's a really interesting.
I'm just reading also for my second year topic, Bird Box. Did anyone see the Sandra Bullock thing? And that leaves a lot unspoken. Like you spend most of the book on like in a sense of dread because you actually have no idea what's happening.
And that's the point of it, isn't it? You don't
know. You do know that she's blindfolded in a house with the kids, and although it's not completely fleshed out, there's enough to imagine a picture
that you can hook onto.
So I think that's misleading, that one. I think because I think it's a fine balance between enough but not too much. Because even with your science fiction, Sean, sorry to cut you off, Alex.
That's okay. I was just stuttering through noises. There was no words coming.
With the science fiction or the noir, you're withholding key details. Like Agatha Christie's another good example, right?
I was going to mention Agatha Christie. Yeah.
You're withholding key details, but the picture is quite vivid.
Yeah.
Except she's not withholding details, though. She's giving you the details, but she's hiding them underneath other details.
Other details.
It's the meaning. It's the connection.
So she maybe is Where's Wally / Waldo.
It depends. So I'm adapting a screenplay into something, and that's when I found that all of that changed because there were things that in a screenplay I withheld until the very end that are now in chapter 2.
Yeah, and so that's where we go back to the editor, right, and the rewrites. Is sometimes it takes someone else to tell you what needs to be shown to the reader and what doesn't.
I'm grappling with this at the moment in a novel that I've just started writing, where it's about a novel about a kid stuck in Antarctica.
Is this the YA one?
A middle grade, and the only other young person there is his sister, who he's talking to all the time. And his sister, it turns out, is dead, and he's imagining the voice. So she's not a ghost; it's all imaginary. But do I say that on page 1, or do I say it?
Oh,
where do I say it? So I've alluded to it on page 2,
and that's where a first draft. I think you're often.
Off the hook.
First draft often I am delaying those things until near the end because I don't know. And then in the next draft you have to kind of go back and pick one.
Absolutely. Speaking of picking one, I've got time for one more and then we're going to have to wrap up this opening episode of the new season of Word Docs. Now, I've saved my favourite one here. And you might have heard this one, so you should be able to guess. Oh, that last one was from Vonnegut, by the way. So I should credit all the old Gasbags. So this one is a lovely one. Write to please just one person. If you open a window and make love to the world, so to speak, your story will get pneumonia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
This is it's not your answer, but Stephen King talks about this with the ideal reader.
Yes.
That his ideal reader is his wife, Tabby.
Oh, that's lovely.
And if he pleases her, and she's quite demanding, then it's succeeded. And I do think you have an ideal reader in mind for each book, like someone that you want to speak to or impress, or someone that you're imagining will get it. Because you can't please everyone. You just have to go on Goodreads to see that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's wild variation on every book, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really excellent advice because it takes the pressure off. I think that
I'm going to go Leonard again on this one.
It was also Vonnegut.
Kurt.
Kurt's the one with poetry.
Do either of you struggle? I mean, I guess my theme of the day is clarity. I just want to connect with a reader who understands.
I think you're quite. Your work's interesting though, because I think it's very much. It actually reflects you as personality really well, because there's like entertainment, like because I think you are quite funny, and there's this kind of. I don't want to say clownish because that's not the right word, but entertaining, right? And that shows your theatre background.
Yeah. Mixed
with a kind of provocative, poking people, get mad about this. And you've got both happening at once, like the razzle-dazzle with the come on, have a fight with me.
Take me on.
Yeah, now I'm going to poke you.
Yeah, but you kind of hope that someone, I guess that's maybe what I mean by clarity is a sense of, am I creating empathy or am I just being annoying? Someone has to tell me that. And sometimes you want to be annoying and that's okay. But ultimately you want to land on empathy.
Because it's all subjective, and I think that's one of the harder things.
And that's one of the problems with these list of rules. What a perfect segue to the ending. Thank you, Amy. You hand sports balled that to me.
Sports balled it.
We've been bamboozling poor Sean with sports ball.
It's been a week of sports ball.
I got tricked into watching sports ball this week, which I'm still angry about.
I had a bad day where every team I watched lost on the weekend.
Amy, you know what that tells you is you should stop watching games, and then they'd win. Thank you both for your wisdom. Welcome back. It's lovely.
It's nice to see you guys. I feel like we need to get back in the groove. We're all a little bit bit tired still.
Sleepy. Yes.
Need more toffees.
No, yeah. Okay, we're going to get the toffee packet out. I'm adding some Foley here, as though I'm rustling a toffee packet, though it's actually just cardboard. This is why I'm not a Foley artist. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again soon. You'll hear from us soon, beautiful listener. And until then, do we need a new slogan this season?
We've never come up with a good one.
No. So happy writing.
Happy writing, Alex.
Happy writing.
Why don't you write when you don't need money? All your notes sound alike too much. All of them starts with I love you, honey, but they end with the same old touch. Just for a change, send a nice loving letter and cut out that please remit. Why don't you write when you don't need money, honey? That would certainly make a hit.
And now, an outtake from a future episode.
Got a saggy microphone.
A flaccid microphone stand.
That's in the Bad Sex Awards.
So there is a Bad Sex Awards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The one I've never forgotten, I can't remember who said it. Oh, no, it's the Bridges of Madison County. Mm-hmm. And there's a line, he pinned her to the bed like a lepidopterist pinning like an insect.
Oh, that's so weirdly specific and creepy. There was a guy on Twitter that was nominated.
It's like everyone on Twitter.
And he got so narky and said, my sex scenes are excellent.
Anybody who needs to say that.
Performance.
That's right.
Anxiety there.
Yeah. Okay, let me stop recording.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.